Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is finally here, and it's been here for a little over a month now. Everyone online has already said their pieces, had their opinions and whatnot, and I figured I might as well give it a go. Now, is it a good remake? Yeah, almost. It is a little underwhelming, and at times it can be almost disappointing. In this Pro Skater 3 plus 4 equation, I can basically sum up my feelings as Pro Skater 3 good, and Pro Skater 4 meh. Pro Skater 3 is pretty much the Pro Skater 3 map pack DLC we always wanted for the previous game, and then there's Pro Skater 4. It's definitely missing a lot. It's fun. It's always great to revisit these beloved levels, but it falls short and leaves me wanting more from them. First things first, Bam is back. You love to see it. Now, I had my doubts. There was a lot of speculation and rumours surrounding his return, and it feels like it was seemingly last minute he was added in thanks to some interventions. But Bam is back, with a very weird bio. If you have a read of his character bio, it's almost passive aggressive. Would Activision really leave one of the series' most beloved skaters behind? Nope. Yeah, they probably would have. It is Activision. Very interesting wording, but I'm glad Bam is back. My general expectation with these remakes is that you either remake everything or you don't even bother trying, because what's the point? At some point it's just copying homework. Pro Skater 3 and 4 looks and feels beautiful. You could already see in the gameplay. They did a great job following the last entries and maintaining that quality from 1 and 2. It looks really good. Like, this is how I imagined it looked when I was a kid. And by putting the gameplay side by side, you can already feel this new one is so much more vibrant and pleasing to look at, whereas the originals were much more grounded and desaturated in their approach. I do wish that there was a day and night cycle, or at least a manual setting to switch different lightings, purely because there are a lot of these remastered levels that are sunset, golden hour, or they're nighttime, and I'd prefer if they were just the way they were, but still good nonetheless. On the website, they advertised an expanded Creator Skater. There's definitely more unique material items, but you're still dealing with the same proportions and silhouettes from the last one. There's still no scaling options, unfortunately, so it's more of the same. No blue ball at this point in time. Sorry guys. The unlocks are super satisfying. You really feel a sense of progression, and simply just unlocking these items feels good. I'm really glad they stuck with the singular cash currency from the originals. It's super easy to obtain, it doesn't feel like a burden or a grind to get them, and there's no microtransactions for that currency. What a genius idea. Thank God there's no alternate currencies like Skate. Don't even get me started on that game, god damn. There is a bit of an elephant in the room when talking about this game now. Actually, no elephant because I got rid of him. Where is Stompy? Pro Skater 4 forever changed the Tony Hawk series by just removing the 2-minute timer. It used to be a to-do list at the beginning of every level, but now it's a to-do list with individual characters and even pro skaters giving you purpose to do those goals. This freedom allowed players to engage with and complete goals at their own pace, and it enabled a bigger focus on immersion and world building while refreshing the whole goals system. It more importantly allowed every entry after this game to evolve and expand on that simple change and that newfound freedom. Pro Skater 4 is generally underlooked for this reason, and it mainly helped players transition to this more open world gameplay. So, what do you think happens when you bring back a timer for these kind of levels? So much is lost in that experience of this particular half of the remake. You just lose all those charming NPC interactions and that sense of discovery in these bigger levels. The general art style and direction for these NPCs and the in-game mission cutscenes just doesn't fit the idea of Tony Hawk Pro Skater for me. That's just me personally. We can look at the interpretation of Ranger Ron as a small case study of that. In the original, the delivery of the character felt way more natural and believable, while still being unhinged with it being sped up.
First off, I'd like to point out that I hate Ranger Bob. I think he's evil. That being said, in 1775, Alcatraz was originally named Los Islas Los Alcatraz. Speaking of which, the damn bird's gone.
Whereas the remake feels a lot more theatrical.
I've never heard them myself, but you know me. Sometimes I get so frazzled I can't even hear myself think, especially after a coffee or two. And I usually don't stop at 2, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, by the way, I've got a thermos in the back if you'd like to...
It just doesn't elicit the same feel as the original. I do like how you can sometimes hear the NPC talk about if Ron is losing it.
Ranger Bob wasn't that bad, was he?
I know it's not that deep, but the attempts to recreate some of these nostalgic and charming moments just doesn't hit me in the same way. It feels hollow. Maybe it's nostalgia, or maybe I just need a lot more time with this new interpretation. In the remake, there are these Pro Skater challenges, which involve doing one of their individual special tricks in a certain combo, with some variations here and there. In the original, not only were the pros actively contributing in the game itself, the pro challenges felt like these huge events. They were way more unique and way more difficult than you were used to up to that point. Before each challenge, they would give you this background information on the pro skater and provide insights into their character, their style, and their general impacts on the culture and the community. And the goal itself would be related to either their strengths or reflect a similar scenario or skate clip they were known for. And it's just completely absent from this remake, which is a huge missed opportunity. It would have been so sick to see the newer skaters introduced, highlighted to this degree. Dude, imagine an Andy Anderson NPC, especially when you've added way more new characters since the last one. It would have been such a great opportunity. And also getting some clips from their videotapes at the time as a reward, that's so sick. And they just completely fumbled. Again, because of the 2-minute timer and there's no interactions. Competition park pieces are just on random levels, permanently fixed. You have no option to get rid of them. There's no more mini games, which aren't integral, but they still incentivize the player to explore and learn the levels. There's also no practice mode, carnival or Chicago levels, which have been replaced by 3 Iron Galaxy originals, which I'm going to say 1.5 out of 3. No comment. So much is lost with such a seemingly small change. Now you might be thinking,
it's a 2-minute timer, bro. Calm down. It's not real.
No. My minimum expectation for these remakes is that they retain everything from the original. There was a level that was ambitious and different and quite unlike anything we had at the time, and was unfortunately reduced to something much less than the original. I'm talking about the zoo was the level to take advantage of this free roaming game mode. And how well do you think they translated this into a 2-minute classic setting? Where is everyone? Where are the animals? Where's the monkey? Where's lemur? Where's gorilla?
Where's giraffe? Where's the lion?
Rhino. Penguin? Where are the birds? I sound like a baby. Where is Stompy? Okay, is Stompy dead? Elephants can live up to 70 years.
Hello, Evan Dropsicle here. I got really sidetracked and I thought Stompy was legit killed off, based off the statue out front, the name of the gap, and the general absence of Stompy. Also, this timeline is confusing.
Stompy is dead, man. This is tragic. What a terrible timeline.
You see what I mean?
You know what? I feel like it's not 100% the 2-minute timer's fault. You could easily adapt all these missions, even if all the exhibits aren't visited. They could have kept that Stompy Stampede opening that extra area. Maybe there's a secret tape there. They could have kept that comboing inside of the lion's cage. They didn't try any of it. I think they were crunched out the wazoo. I'm not sure if that's corrected or not, but it really does feel like they were just rushed and they couldn't do extra animal models. There's no seals. I forgot there were seals there. God. And there were seals in San Francisco, which were replaced by just dudes and seagulls. Great. What a great translation. It probably would have saved that for me personally if they just retained Zoo as it was. But now it's a lifeless, barren, empty wasteland. And I can't leave the premises. There's these creepy people stopping me from leaving. I'm pretty sure they repurposed NPCs. What a travesty. Oh my god. Now, don't take this as me hating the experience completely, although it probably sounds like I do. It's more so the what ifs. Like, what if they just spent a few more months on it to make it feel like a complete Pro Skater 4 experience? And it's just the disappointment that comes from what we got. It was still fun to play and revisit the landscapes, but again, it wasn't the same, which is to be expected after 20 or so years. There's definitely a few things they could have added to make the game feel less like a DLC and more of an evolution of the previous remaster. And that could be things like advanced grinds, where you double tap triangle or Y to get different looking grinds there. They could also bring in backflips and barrel rolls. They also could have added the spacewalk, which they already had in the game, just not as a special trick for whatever reason, and they can actually make it function as an actual spacewalk to keep you going if you're stuck in a spot. Also to not put it behind a Doom DLC, I don't know why. That's such a weird decision. I was also going to suggest Cavemans and getting on and off the board, but I figured they might actually save that for a future sequel or Underground 1 and 2 remasters. but I hope they don't, purely because those ones had a much more distinct art style and aesthetic and just general vibe that I don't think they'll be able to faithfully recreate. But overall, I had a pretty good time. It was fun to play while I was playing it. Honestly, I hope they just come out with Pro Skater 6 and just go all in on their own style and not have to worry about replicating the past. And that's about it. There's a whole bunch of other things I didn't even mention about the game, mainly because I don't want to bore you with 30 more minutes of rambling. So leave any comments. What did you think of the game? Are there any other points I may have missed or misinterpreted completely? I'm more than happy to respond to any comments. Anyways, thank you for watching and you have a good one.